come to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for your support. I'm still shooting these videos back home, and I want to start this video by first urging you people that nyinyi ambao mko town and those who are out now, hawa watu wanalima and yes, they need fertilizer. By the way, they need fertilizer. If you can, even me, hata mimi nalima because I could need some fertilizer and just need around I'm also doing some large scale farming here, maize. So I'm also doing some huge tracts of land for maize. But back home, yeah, hata mimi nilinunua fertilizer by the way, on a serious note. Wacha niweka namba hapo. Yes, fertilizer need to do some good planting. This place is very productive, not just staying in town. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say it as it should be with finality. United Democratic Alliance should not take Raila for a ride. These fellows are not interested in anything called dialogue. And any sort of a dialogue that is going on is, according to me, and that is what position that many people have shared, that it's a proxy. You cannot compare. We have been told about a story about how Raila met Ruto in some private hotel. That is made, could be true or not, but deliberately that story has been leaked out in the media to show some sort of handshake. You know, it shows some sort of, political compromise going on. This is what happened. Dr. William Samoei Ruto succumbed to pressure and decided to climb down after pressure came from the international forces, the international community, and the national intelligence. Two things. The national intelligence told him that the population will turn against you because there are many people that are taking advantage of the mass action by Azimio Umoja, and non-protesters are destroying other people's businesses, and this can morph up into sort of a confrontation between the two rivaling factions. Those who believe the protests are being destroyed and not. Two things. I don't think if William Ruto was to listen, and we are supposed to take his word that I listened to the Azimio Umoja statement, I can tell you that what happened the other day could have happened way back in December. Raila started talking about the IEBC question. Immediately, the Cherera 4 were ousted from office. And the process of replacing the IEBC commissioners started in December. Now, the cost of living also was floated in December. The only new thing that emerged, of course it was there, but it was emboldened by the whistleblower, is the issue of open the servers. So to Raila Odinga, I am not seeing good intent from William Ruto. Maybe I am blind, I cannot see, but as a political analyst from where I'm seated, William Ruto is not Raila Odinga. Let me ask you a question. Just try to look at it this way. What do you think is William Ruto's big goal in the next 5 years? Re-election. Ruto is interested at re-election. So any decision that he will make now, he must make that decision in the context of political merit, the political benefit. Compare that to handshake with Uhuru Kenyatta, totally different. There is a big difference because Uhuru was not interested in power anymore. So he could be honest. Uhuru Kenyatta was honest. William Samoei Ruto, the son of Sugoi, is not honest. What happened was just ceasefire. Raila Odinga should not allow a situation of him being portrayed as working with William Samoei Ruto. Ruto is determined on what is called political mobilization and will stop at nothing, including trying to project a working relationship with Raila Odinga just to craft political narratives. Let me tell you, UDA are busy in social media and Sundays organizing interdenominational prayers, events that are used for political propaganda. These are leaders that anything happening in the country, they'll always find a twist, a spin to it, and turn it into some sort of propaganda. What am I saying? William Ruto's 2027 political game plan is to float a narrative of unity. What Uhuru did in 2017, what he did with Uhuru, what Ruto did with Uhuru in 2017. Ruto was the brainer behind the Jubilee 2, the Jubilee Alliance. So, this discussion about me meeting with Raila and bipartisan approach is just something that Ruto will use the next day, not very long, next 2 weeks or 1 week here, talking to Kenyans about how he is a man that values unity. Raila Odinga, forget about it. I'm speaking in the slopes of Siaya County. I know some of the people normally I speak in the slopes of Mount Kenya. I'm also speaking in the slopes of Siaya County. Ruto is shrewd and is brutal and is very dishonest. I can tell you. Ruto is a political machinery. And let me tell you this game plan, why Raila Odinga must not, in fact, according to me, any sort of a compromise, any sort of showing that there is a compromise that me and Ruto are an item should be avoided as a plague. I want to tell you the game plan. Ruto will create some personal fortunes and throw them in the way of Azimio la Umoja. What am I saying? Look at 2017, 2018, Raila Odinga was given some envoy job. Kalonzo Musyoka was given also some envoy job in South Sudan. And Musalia Mudavadi, Moses Wetangula, and some other leaders were left in the cold. William Ruto is a man that has known how to trap leaders. What can happen here is to create a job. Try to think of a situation where today Ruto has created some, has got some opportunity, some AU opportunity. And he's saying, I'm giving it to Raila Odinga. What happens to Azimio? He will split that Azimio in the middle. Because their strength, there is something that has been really puzzling many. What is the glue that is holding Azimio together? Jeremiah Kioni is in charge, Secretary General of a Jubilee Party, a party that is deemed dead. Dr. Kalonzo Musyoka is a party leader of Wiper, but as Wiper, they're not seeing a way to eclipse William Ruto, or rather to remove William Ruto from power in 2027. But what's holding them together? I want to say this. I was just following this story. It's one of very interesting ones for people who follow the story of Raila Odinga. After the death of, not after the death, towards the 1992 general election, there's a split between Ford Kenya and Ford Asili. And the split was occasioned by just this one thing. Jaramogi and Martin Shikuku wanted the presidential candidate to be nominated to be elected by the people, so that delegates will come and elect who would be the presidential candidate of the party. So because of that, there was a split. And Kenneth Matiba and Masinde Muliro, they joined forces because for them, they wanted direct nomination. Just because of that, a crisis was created and was split. I would later come to realize that Moi could have engineered that split. Because if you merge, Moi Kibaki was also on ballot. So there were two Kikuyus, Moi Kibaki and Kenneth Matiba. But if Kenneth Matiba And Jaramogi Oginga became number 4, I think, in that election. So if you match the votes of Kenneth Matiba and Jaramogi and Mwai Kibaki, they were defeating Moi. Kenneth Matiba, Jaramogi, and Mwai Kibaki, they were defeating Moi. And successfully, Moi created a divide and rule and divided the opposition. Remember, Mwai Kibaki just formed that party of Democratic Party the Christmas after the repeal of the breakthrough of the repeal of Section 32A, 92A, and successfully it was used. That was used to split the party, the opposition, and that's how Nani got his way. So that will again still repeat in 1997 when Moi did not get. It was Moi that it was through looking at the 1997 election in 92 that we actually brought up the 50+1, where opposition will be many, but you must get 50+1. Otherwise, there is no education. So, what am I saying? William Ruto will trap and will divide Azimio in the middle. If you comfortably sit and agree that you're working sort of together. Number 2, the UDA, or rather President Ruto, would form a joint force, some dummy unity that me and Raila and Kalonzo and so are together. That dummy unity is just used to, the unity question will be used to suppress track record. And in fact, this is it. UDA is falling. UDA is failing. That's the truth. 7 months into it, there is a lot of commotions. And these commotions are bringing a lot of confusion. There is a Luo artist says, commotions brings confusions. There is a lot of commotions going on, and UDA party is on a free fall, like the Kenyan shilling. Let these people fail. Raila Odinga and the Azimio team would actually be used as a buffer zone. What stops William Ruto from telling Kenyans in 2027 that what I achieved to do, I did not achieve because when I joined hands with Raila Odinga, he started to talk about the constitution. And I've just learned my lessons that we can't work. And I told you guys that we could not go for the handshake. But because of the peace of the country, I decided to try. I can tell you, this thing will be spent. The same thing that was said about a handshake with Uhuru Kenyatta, it will be spent against Raila Odinga. And that's why I'm convinced that Raila Odinga should not entertain that discussion. Let it be that parliament, let it end there, go back to the opposition trenches. Hold it, because there is a political traction. Ruto is avoiding political traction. The opposition was gaining the traction in public and getting the media coverage, and Ruto is simply avoiding a situation of us versus them this early. That's what Ruto is avoiding. Raila Odinga went into handshake last time and realized late that, okay, I was to be a presidential candidate, and probably I must take a situation now defending the government. And to some extent, it didn't work. It did not work well against him. So this time round, we must learn our lessons. The opposition must learn their lessons. There is a political mobilization coming hapa mbele, and it's gathering steam. And this is it. Ruto will box you and tell you that we don't have a handshake, but we have a working relationship. And they will use very, very cagey, some very big jargons to explain how Raila is a good man and how they're working together. But as that is going on, UDA is invading the opposition zones by what they are dangling as political tokens. That will be it. They'll go for you, Raila, because they want to establish. Just immediately there's discussion about some dialogue. The first thing that UDA was saying, we are going to reestablish the offices in Kisumu and Siaya. That's it. For the opposition to run their politics, do it differently. I strongly believe Raila won the election in 2017. After staging that opposition politics. If there is a time that we saw opposition politics in this country, that was between 2013 and 2017. If that is done now, you can upset the system if there is something like that that exists. So that's my position on this one. We may disagree, but that is the truth.